Yes, hello. Welcome back to the Rugby League Forecast podcast. For today's episode, I will be going through the best 3 second rowers of the National Rugby League era from 1998 to 2025. I'm going to get straight into it today. My number three, Nathan Hindmarsh, debuted for Parramatta in 1998, I think it was. Grand final in 2001, a minor premiership in 2001. Very unlucky not to win that grand final in 2001. The next time he makes a grand final is 2009 against a Melbourne Storm side that was over the salary cap. And they ended up winning that game by 7 points. So if things were different, it could have changed many people's opinion of Nathan Hindmarsh in terms of the best of the best. For me, he's in the top three, but I think for a lot of people, he probably won't be, only based on the fact he didn't win a premiership. But for me, he's played more games than any other player for Parramatta. What he achieved in his career for New South Wales, for Australia, he was part of the Australian Kangaroos 2000 World Cup squad. At such a young age, he was such a great second rower. He knew how to hit holes. He had a tremendous offload, but he will always be remembered for his defence. What a workhorse. In my opinion, also in the top three best Parramatta players has ever been. You're probably looking at Peter Sterling, Ray Price, perhaps Brett Kenny, Nathan Hindmarsh. I put him up in that league of the best second rowers, and the Centre of Excellence store is just closing. Yep, I didn't fart. I promise you that was the door. Nathan Hindmarsh, I mean, he on the Matty Johns show, I feel sorry for him to an extent. You know, I love that they take the piss out of him, and he plays it really cool. You know, he's a great sport. But I feel that the younger generation, the generation behind me, will never truly understand what a terrific player Nathan Hindmarsh was. Terrific guy, terrific bloke. Would add a lot to a coaching staff if ever he joins one, as an assistant coach down the track, because we think of Nathan Hindmarsh as that silly larrikin character, but man, his rugby league IQ is through the roof. He may not be able to get his words out in the media of what he's trying to say, but if you had a one-on-one conversation with Nathan Hindmarsh, my bet would be that you would learn more than most players that have ever played rugby league. A really smart player, a really terrific player, but just known for his defence. Knew how to tackle around the legs. Absolute incredible second rower of the NRL era. My second best second rower of the NRL era is Boyd Cordner. I think 2013 would have been one of his first NRL seasons, and I do remember early in that season it was told to the media reported to the fans that a young kid called Boyd Cordner will most likely be ruled out for the season. He came back, played in the grand final, and won a comp. In the early games of his career against the Manly Sea Eagles, the Roosters, an incredible leader. When I think of Boyd Cordner, I think a second rower, one of the first second rowers of the 2010s that really knew how to hit a hole. Sometimes you'd see players back in the early 2000s to 2010s where a player would know how to hit a hole, but not necessarily at speed. And you wouldn't see that consistently. You might see a play like that once off, but Boyd Cordner had a terrific combination with Luke Keary. He had a terrific combination with James Maloney in Origin. He just knew how to find the hole off the first or second receiver at the time. A terrific leader. When I think of Boyd Cordner, you obviously think of him captaining the Roosters to the 2018 Premiership win against the Melbourne Storm and 2019 against the Canberra Raiders. Back-to-back Premiership winning captain, back-to-back New South Wales winning captain. Not often you can say that in the last 20 years. I don't think you can say that about anyone else in the last 20 years. He's been the only back-to-back winning captain in Origin. I will always remember Boyd Cordner walking down the tunnel. Game 3 decider, 2019 State of Origin. Just walking down the tunnel that Kathy Freeman walked down. They reopened it at Sydney Olympic Park, and just remember him. He looked so nervous walking them down. And of course, that was the game where James Tedesco scored the winning try for New South Wales in the final 5 minutes. Um, Terrific player, Boyd Cordner, a premiership winner. My number one, before I go to my number one, I know I keep saying top three, but I do have a 4 and a 5 because there's too many players not to mention. Sonny Bill Williams, special mention to him, what he achieved. Comes back to the Sydney Roosters 2013. They win a competition, stays there in 2014, gets to a prelim final, and of course what he did at the Bulldogs. Believe it or not, Sonny Bill Williams played centre for the majority of his career in the 2004 season when they ended up winning the premiership. So for him to transition from rugby league to rugby union from different positions, he was just a complete athlete. And I remember seeing him live at Brookvale Oval watching the Manly Sea Eagles. I was coaching the little 4-year-olds for the Beacon Hill Bears at half time, and I remember he ran on the field as the kids were leaving. He ran straight past me. I couldn't believe how, not just how big he was, but how tall he was. Oh man, he was like a basketball player. He was so lean, and I just remember thinking, like, I've never really seen many rugby league players built like Sonny Bill Williams. Um, I reckon he could have played professional sport in at least 5 sports. The way he was built, was committed, the way he trained, an unbelievable player, Sonny Bill Williams, for what he achieved. 2 premierships for the Bulldogs and the Sydney Roosters in 2013. And of course, Beaver, Stephen Menzies. No forward in the history of rugby league has scored more tries than Steve Menzies. Debuted in 1993, retired, finished at the Manly Sea Eagles at the end of 2008. Then goes over to the Super League, plays another 5 seasons there, 09, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. By the time his career finished in rugby league, in the NRL and Super League, he played over 500 games. As I mentioned, the statistic of not one forward in rugby league history has scored more tries than Steve Menzies. Goes to show what a tremendous player he was. We always talk about the combination he had with Cliff Lyons. Well, I think Steve Menzies gets forgotten a lot in that combination. There's jokes about Cliffy Lyons setting up all those tries for Beaver. Well, Beaver scored a lot of tries when Cliff Lyons retired at the end of the 1999 season. At that point, that was only halfway through Beaver's career. Scored many, many tries from 2000 to 2008 for Manly, playing second row, lock, 5'8" centre, coming off the bench in that 2008 grand final. He was a terrific captain for Manly as well in the 2003 season before Michael Monaghan took over in 2004. A really good player, Steve Menzies, a fantastic second rower. But for me, the best second rower of the NRL era from 1998 to 2004, he retired at the end of 2004, Gordon Tallis. What a player. Like, he starts his career before the NRL. I think I'm going to say 1993 for the Dragons, and has a bit of a fallout with the coach then, Brian Smith. Pretty sure he played in the 93 grand final. I'll have to double check that. Takes the 1996 year off. He didn't want to play for the Dragons anymore. He had enough. He needed a rest from the game. Comes back to Brisbane, plays in the 1997 grand final, Super League win over the Cronulla Sharks, wins that. 1998 Clive Churchill medal winner. I know we're going from 98 onwards, but the 97 grand final needs to be mentioned in the career of Gordon Tallis. 98 Clive Churchill medal winner. If you watch that game from Gordon Tallis, one of the best individual solo performances from a player in a grand final. And for a second rower, for a forward, to get a Clive Churchill, it's pretty rare. Always either goes to traditionally a fullback or 5'8" halfback. Gordon Tallis was absolutely rampaging down the ground consistently through that game. He was outstanding in that 1998 game. 2 years later, what he achieved in that 2000 grand final alongside his best mate, Kevin Walters, they lose Alfie Langer that year. So Kevin Walters is playing 7. He's the captain of that grand final. And Ben Ikin, a very young Ben Ikin, playing in his first few years of his career, is playing in the number 6 jersey. Gordon Tallis is a huge reason why Brisbane won that 2000 grand final. And yes, they won it quite convincingly, but there's no way they get there without Gordon Tallis and what he achieved on the field consistently through that 2000 season. He was absolutely dominant. Defensively, he was so strong. And I genuinely think not often in rugby league players are scared of opposition players. I reckon in the year 2000, watching a lot of those replays, players were genuinely scared of Gordon Tallis. Not often have I seen players genuinely, through their body language, not want a bar of him. He scared the defence. He scared the opposition to the point where um, he was having fun with it. And he had an up and down relationship with his premiership winning coach, Wayne Bennett. But there's no doubt that they also see eye to eye on a lot of things. Gordon Tallis, for me, the number one second rower of the NRL era. Fantastic player. Retires at the end of 2004. Ends up getting a gig as an assistant coach at South Sydney a few years later. Then joins Channel 9 Fox League. And he's had a career in the media now for around about 20 years. Yeah, I mean, we all know what he achieved in Origin. Was the captain in Alfie Langer's comeback for Queensland in that 2001 Game 3. Man, he was just everything you'd want in a second rower. Big, fast, strong, just strong mind. I remember in 2002 Origin, it was actually quite sad because I think his mother went on the footy show, or she was on the footy show, and there were some quite very distasteful signs from New South Wales supporters about his mother in the crowd. And there's quite famous vision of Gordon Tallis looking at the crowd, giving them the finger. When I think it was Brad Thorne that may have scored for Queensland in that game to make it level. So yeah, I think he copped a lot through his career as well, which was unfair. We'll always remember the fight with Ben Ross in that 2003 season, and Bill Harrigan in that 2000 Origin season. Just go, Gordy, just go. He called Bill Harrigan a cheat. Apparently, he apologised to Bill Harrigan at full time after the sheds. Goes to show the man he is. I think a lot of players probably wouldn't have done that at that time, but he did that after the game while being extremely disappointed as well. You see him on the Matty Johns show. You see him on Fox League on NRL 360. He knows his football, and he cops a lot of criticism, Gordon Tallis, as a person and as a passionate rugby league man. But I love what he brings to the game. I love his passion. I love that he doesn't hide behind any agendas. And I love that he backs his mate, Kevin Walters. And I think he knows that he's going to cop a lot of crap for it. And he may not necessarily agree with all the decisions Kevin Walters may have made. That's the sense I get. Sometimes I think, well, he may think, oh, I don't think Kevin Walters wanted to be sacked. But at the end of the day, I think deep down he knew that the Broncos have very high levels to get to and maintain consistently. And Gordon Tallis, I think he just backs his mate. And no matter what the situation is, he backs his mate. And I've got to appreciate that. I know there's a lot of agendas in rugby league, and Gordon Tallis and Kevin Walters, they back each other up. But there's a part of me that if you just sit down and put rugby league aside for a second, that's what mateship's all about. He's loyal. He's a tremendous bloke, Gordon Tallis. I've only met him once at a game briefly, but terrific player, absolutely terrific player. He knew how to hit a hole, had a fantastic combination with Darren Lockyer. Oh man, he was just so good. He was so close with players such as Wendell Saylor when he was at Brisbane in the early 90s to the year 2001, I think it was, before he went over to this to Union. Man, what a player. Outstanding, Gordon Tallis. So they're my 5 best second rowers. My top 3, Boyd Cordner, Nathan Hindmarsh, Boyd Cordner, Gordon Tallis. And just one shout out to a player that I couldn't pick on the top 5 list of mine. Gavin Cooper for the Cowboys. Man, that combination he had with Jonathan Thurston through those years, especially through the 2015 sort of 2018 period. What a player Gavin Cooper was. He actually captained the Cowboys in that 2017 grand final, because if you remember, Matt Scott and Jonathan Thurston were both injured for the majority of that season. And on the back of Michael Morgan, his leadership and his skill, the Cowboys got to the grand final without a future immortal in Jonathan Thurston. Gavin Cooper was a huge reason why they got there. And we always talk about Michael Morgan and Lachlan Coote and what the players did to get there. Gavin Cooper and his leadership, especially in that final series, was outstanding. And you talk about a second rower that knew how to hit a hole. Gavin Cooper knew how to hit a hole. He combined so well with JT that I'd put it up there with the combination between Jonathan Thurston and Matt Bowen. Those two players were outstanding to watch together. Gavin Cooper, one of the great second rowers of the NRL era. All right, that'll do me. I think, I know I've probably forgotten some fantastic other second rowers. Bobcat Ryan, Andrew Ryan, his try-saving tackle in the 2004 grand final. There's been so many fantastic second rowers over the years, but for me, I can't go past Gordon Tallis as number one. I know he only played 6-7 years in the NRL era, but what he achieved in that period, 2 premiership wins, 98 to 2000, and just his passion. I thought he was a terrific captain for Queensland and Brisbane when he was captain for those couple of years. He wins. He just beats Boyd Cordner. If Boyd Cordner was still playing, he'd probably be number one. But due to the consistent concussions, he had to retire, I think, at the end of the 2020 Origin season, which was in November after the Melbourne Premiership win in October. Actually, that may have been early November, late October. But yeah, they're my 3 best second rowers. Over the next couple of days, I'll be doing the best locks of the NRL era and the best bench utilities, the number 14s, the best number 14s of the NRL era. And then I'll be going through the rest of the season reviews for the clubs. And then leading into the new season, we'll be doing some 2026 season previews and, of course, continuing those classic grand final reviews over the years. Thank you very much for joining me on the podcast. If you haven't already, please follow the Rugby League Forecast podcast on Spotify and, of course, subscribe on YouTube. Tell your friends about the podcast, especially those rugby league diehard nerds that are really struggling through the deep days of the off season in 2025. So around 75 to 80 days left until kickoff. Keep watching this podcast because it'll fly by. Cheers, guys.